Welcome to Generating Gratitude, a look at personal growth in a grateful life. What follows is not professional advice or medical recommendation, but stories and perspectives about living with gratitude. Now, here is your host, Joe Volk.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another blazing edition of Generating Gratitude. I'm Joe, your host. And remember this, no matter what your circumstances in life, no matter who you are, as long as you're above ground, because, as I've often said, you have to be above ground to be eligible for life. No matter what your circumstances, you can't be hateful and you can't be grateful at the same time. It's your choice, folks. Be grateful. Grateful people are a hell of a lot more fun to be around than hateful people. You want proof? Just go on social media. Well, I went on social media the other day, and I'm going to ask you an absurd question. Would you be cool if they legalized heroin? Would you be good with an unregulated, legalized heroin that you could basically buy at a gas station? Most logical, responsible, serious adults would say, hell no. However, this is exactly what's happening right now. I didn't know anything about this till I saw an article in the Detroit News. It's called Kratom. So I'm doing some research on it. Kratom is a tropical tree native to Southeast Asia whose leaves produce stimulant effects at low doses and opiate-like effects at higher doses. And they put this in tablets, gummies, powders, capsules. Kind of almost like the same as cannabis. Basically, it's legal opium. There's no Food and Drug Administration approval. Kratom, some users used it to get off heroin or fentanyl, according to the University of Michigan. But Kratom is only part of the problem. Kratom. I call it crap. How about that? Because 7-0, that's an alkaloid found in kratom leaves. It's manufactured in a synthetic form to produce an opiate-like sensation, pain relief, and sedation. It is more potent than the leaf and referred to as the hard liquor version of kratom. Kratom, whatever the hell it is, Krapton. Is it addictive? Yes. Substance abuse counselors and doctors report symptoms of dependence and withdrawal. And it can lead to addiction. 7-0. Krapton. I'm going to call it Krapton. I just like it like that. As of April 20th, the substance had not yet been formally added to the list of Schedule I drugs, which would effectively ban this 7-0 nationwide. Withdrawal, same as drugs, anxiety, insomnia. Not appropriate use, according to the FDA, for a dietary supplement. Does show up on a drug test. And in the state of Michigan, there are no laws governing the sale of this and related synthetics such as 7-0. We're basically letting convenience stores sell heroin. We're basically letting gas stations sell heroin. Apparently, you can find it at any gas station. Apparently, you can find it at any, tobacco store. So I put it out there on Facebook to my Facebook friends because, again, I'm just discovering this. What is this Kratom? According to Andrew, most liquor and party stores in Midland have it accessible as a quote-unquote energy drink. It's right next to the milk. Pill form behind the counter. Some stores have a whole selection of flavors to choose from. Ron says, someone I know is in rehab for what they call Kratom. It is a souped-up version, but has many forms, and his people used it to kick opioid dependency. But again, it's just another rationalized way to abuse a substance. Tyler put it succinctly, it's just bad news. My friend Jacqueline, most tobacco stores have a ton of it. And yes, party stores. It came out as natural pain relief, but is anything but that. It binds to the opioid receptors just like opioids and alcohol. And withdrawal is rough. Mood swings, agitation, nasty stuff. Up north, they specifically test for it in sober living houses. So if they're testing for it at sober living, you know that it can't be good for you. Let's see, Peggy, synthetic opioid. Most vape and tobacco stores carry it. Christine, I used to ease withdrawal symptoms years ago. I made tea with it, the leaves, and it helped a lot. As usual, people took it too far and ruined what could have been a legal, easy way to obtain a tool for coming off heavier narcotics. The detox is much more intense and longer lasting compared to non-synthetic opioids. That's according to Karen. She works at a rehab center, so Karen would know. There are different offshoots, some of which are more potent. It's gone from something that can be bought in a capsule or loose leaf to something that can be bought as a drink mix and in other more discreet forms. There is one detox locally that will admit you for detoxing from this. Karen, again, calls it like I call it, gas station heroin. And finally, I was in rehab with a girl coming off Kratom. The symptoms looked like they were a lot coming off fentanyl. Except she had the worst restless legs for much more times than I did coming off fentanyl. Her sleep schedule was much more disturbed, and they couldn't treat her for like a normal opioid withdrawal. Definitely not something to play with. So basically, I just wanted to, I'm not moralizing here, but why are we selling legalized opium to anyone? There are no age restrictions. This is stupid. Yes, I'm being a little more hateful than grateful right now. This is dumb. Somebody needs to raise the red flag. Somebody needs to. We're basically selling heroin in our party stores, and there's no age restrictions. The age restrictions are set by the party store, the gas station, or convenience store. Have you been to a party store, gas station, or convenience store? I don't want those folks setting age restrictions on nothing. I was just amazed that I just found out about this stuff. Help me, Jonathan. What's the pronunciation again? Kratom. Kratom. So be aware of what your kids are doing. Be aware of what your friends are doing. Kratom. It's basically legal heroin, and you can buy it. Gas stations, tobacco stores. It's dangerous stuff. Dangerous, dangerous stuff. Hopefully I can get somebody on that's recovering from this. If you know of anybody, send me a PM. For you older folks, it's personal message. I think it's DM. I don't know. I didn't even know what kratom was. There you go. Generating gratitude. Let's get rid of the legalized heroin. It's no good. Legal drugs don't work. Addicts don't have any restraint. And there you go, folks. That's part one. Generating gratitude here on WSGW. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Generating Gratitude here on WSGW. Again, thanks to my friends at Connoisseur Media for letting me do this every week. And yeah, we were, our opening segment, we talked about that Kratom, whatever it is, gas station heroin, bad stuff. We're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to talk to Tracy. Tracy's the program manager at Pier 360 in the Thumb. Place I know, because that's where I'm from. And we're going to talk about the Rides to Recovery program, but we're also going to talk to Tracy about her story, because everybody from Pier 360, it's a great organization, has a great recovery story. Tracy, welcome to Generating Gratitude.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your story, Tracy. How did you you're in recovery. How did you get there?
Oh, well, just like many people who are in recovery, everyone has a story of how they got there, and mine is pretty similar to most other folks. You know, I started drinking and using as a teenager and ended up just escalating. At first, I could stop whenever I wanted, and then I found I couldn't stop when I wanted, and tried to do it, my way, and I tried to control it. And at some point, after a series of, I went through a divorce, and I was trying to raise two small children on my own at the time, and I had never been on my own before, and it just was just a bad time for my drinking and using to cross that line from being something that might be considered normal for some, and then when I went into full-blown active addiction. And I ended up losing my children. I ended up losing, my house, my job, my car. I lost everything. And I started finding recovery in 1993. Well, I was introduced to the possibility of being in recovery in 1993. through what they call a nudge from the judge.
Yep.
And, yeah.
I said it at a lot of meetings that with a lot of folks that have been nudged.
Oh yeah. And so that was part of my story. And I went to the meetings. Trial and error. I'd get some sustained recovery under my belt for 30, 60 days. Go back out. Then I did it a few months, go back out. One day, go back out. It was kind of back and forth. And then finally, and each time I went out, and I'm sure your listeners have heard this repeatedly, and I know you have heard it repeatedly, but every time I went back out, things got a little bit worse and a little bit worse. And then for me, it ended up sitting in front of a judge in May of 2001, facing 15 years to life because of just how far my addiction had taken me and doing all those horrible things that, people imagine.
Now, Tracy, one of the things that normies have trouble with is the concept, like you lost your kids, you lost your job, you lost your house, you lost everything.
Absolutely.
And yet it still wasn't enough.
It wasn't. I tried. I wanted to. My brain was like, you don't need to be doing this, Tracy. You need to be doing, and I wanted to. I had the desire to. I had the want to. But for whatever reason, when I put those drugs and alcohol in my body, it made me do things. It changed my thinking process. It made me do things I did not want to do. And even facing 15 years to life, I was still blown away. Let me tell you. So I go before that judge, and I'm expecting the judge to, throw the book at me, put me in, throw me under the jail and throw away the key. And because I really, truly thought I was going to go away for a long time. And that judge, I've rarely heard of this happening back at that point in time. But that judge, she said she saw something in me. She said she prayed every day for 7 days, and God was just telling her to give me one more chance. And let me tell you what the disease of addiction did for me. So she let me walk out of that courtroom, and rather than be grateful, I was angry. I was angry because I didn't know. I had to find another place to lay my head that night. I had to figure out how I was going to get some food. And I knew that I knew I was going to have to end up having to use some drugs and alcohol. I knew it. And in my mind, I had thought, at least if I went to jail, at least I'd be okay. I wouldn't be using drugs, wouldn't be drinking. I'd be able to sleep and eat. And but what that did do was that started me over the next couple of months. That started me really thinking I need to do something different with my life. It didn't happen overnight. It was a gradual process. And I'm proud to tell you that as of July 24th, 2001, I've not had a drink or a drug or lived that lifestyle since that time.
Oh, look at you, Tracy. Now, explain, the powerlessness. We admitted we were powerless, and our life had become unmanageable. Desire of you, hoping that you could go to jail.
Yeah.
To keep yourself from yourself, because you knew that you knew that if you weren't in jail, you're going to go right back out there and use.
Absolutely. I was desperate. I was truly, truly in a desperate state of mind. And I knew that I could not stop by myself. And, it was so, yeah, that's what the disease of addiction can do, And,
we know we're addicts. Like I knew I was an alcoholic at a young age. But the gap between knowing it and hitting the bottom so low to do something about it. That's the tricky part, and that sounds like your story as well.
Yeah, for some people, and for those lucky, there are folks out there that like they get in trouble with the law one time and they're like, whoop, that's it. I'm not doing this no more. They are so lucky. For me, I view that as so lucky. For them, that may be the most devastating thing ever happened to them. But then there's many of us out here who, despite all our best efforts, we still, going to jail, losing our kids, all that, losing our job, losing our husbands, wives, whatever, we still, through our own power of our own will, we still end up going back for more. And it's insanity is what it is.
Yeah, our higher power going, have you suffered enough yet? Enough yet?
Mm-hmm.
Have you got enough?
Absolutely.
Tracy, we're going to take a short break. We're going to get back and we'll talk about your Rise to Recovery program, because that's an amazing idea, because people need ways to get to recovery. I mean, you can't just, I have no way of getting there. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about how you recovered, because I always like to show how people recovered and how they can recover and how they are recovering, because nobody's ever finally recovered. We are recovering. And so I want to get Tracy's recovering story, and then we'll talk about Rise to Recovery. Tracy, Program Manager, Peer 360 out in the thumb. You're listening to Generating Gratitude here on WSGW. We'll be right back, folks.
Now it's time for more great moments in gratitude with your host, Joe Volk.
Welcome back to Generating Gratitude. Tracy, our guest, Program Manager, Peer 360 in the thumb. Brilliant idea, Rise to Recovery. We'll talk a little bit about that too. But right now I want to concentrate. Tracy was telling us her story of how she is recovering. And Tracy, how did you, when I was trying to get clean, to get off, the alcohol, there comes a time where you kind of have to deal with that self-hate, because it's like the fourth step. You, oh my God, you realize what you've done, all the damage that you caused. It's that moment of self-awareness and that moment of clarity. And sometimes that can be really overwhelming, and especially you as a mom, when you lost the kids. Did you come to that moment?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, yes and no. Yes, that was like a big realization of, oh my gosh, this has gone too far. I have a problem. Yes. So that, but the real moment of realization for me came, because remember, I started this journey in 93, 94, but it wasn't until 2001 when I had that ultimate realization of, oh my gosh, what have I done? And the lives I had hurt, and the damage I had done to myself. And it was pretty tough.
How did you learn to forgive yourself? Because that's one of the challenges to recovery. It's easy to ask for forgiveness. Well, it's easier to ask for forgiveness from others, as it is opposed to, we're pretty hard on ourselves.
Absolutely, we are, and it was a process. I had hurt a lot of people in my life, and I had been so selfish when I was in active illness I had been, drinking and drugging, and that came first, and I put it before everything, and I was so selfish. I wanted what I wanted, and I wanted it right then and there, and it was always, So when I came in, I had to learn. I wanted to prove myself and be not selfish. And so anytime I did anything that was good for me, right, for Tracy,
yeah,
like when I would hear people say, you got to love yourself. If I did that, or if I tried to forgive myself, or if I tried to do something good for myself, I felt like that was being selfish. And so it was real confusing for me, and it was really super hard for me to do because I had done so much damage to so many people that it was hard for me. And I felt like I deserved everything that I got. I felt like I deserved worse than what I ended up getting. So for me to learn how to forgive myself when I knew that I had hurt so many people was very, very hard to do. And I'll just say this, the first 17 years of my recovery, I utilized 12-step program.
Yep.
I started out in AA and then ended up moving over to NA, Narcotics Anonymous. And so I had some amazing people in my life, amazing women in my life that helped me. And as I've heard you mention the steps. The 12 steps was the blueprint to help me get to that. I couldn't do it overnight. If somebody walked up and was just saying, you need to love yourself, forgive yourself, and love everybody else, that would have been hard for me to do. So I loved that the 12 steps kind of gave me, that there's an old saying that says, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right?
That's
and the
right.
Steps,
yeah.
Right? And the steps helped me do that. And that's what happened. And by the time I got through working the steps, I had developed a beautiful relationship with myself and was able to forgive myself. And now it's not always easy.
No.
Even still, I still struggle. But it's easier for me to do today than it was when I first came into recovery.
People don't understand one of the misconceptions about addiction recovery and alcoholic recovery is it's not like a Disney movie. It's not
right.
it's not like, okay, I go to rehab for 30, 60, 90 days. I learn to love myself and the world is great. And I come out and everything is sunshine and roses and I'm farting rainbows and all that other stuff that isn't life great? One of the things the challenges I had to overcome, and you mentioned it about loving yourself, is when I was even as a dry drunk, when I stole the two most valuable things from people: time and experience, because you don't get time back at life. When you get a finite, here's your time, do with it what you will, and experiences that I took from other people, your weddings, proms, all that was once in a lifetime, should have been joyous experiences, and I stole them from people with my selfish alcoholic behavior. And that takes time to heal, because people heal at different places.
Absolutely.
And for a recovering person, we have to heal from that before we can do anything else.
Right.
Because you can't hate yourself and then ask others for forgiveness. It just it doesn't work that way.
Right. Yeah. I think that. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up about that image that some people out there may not understand. It is more, yes, I mean, when people go to treatment and they get out, or they, their lives suddenly do start getting a little bit better in different areas. But it was great for me the first 90 days at least. I was like on top of the world. I was like, yay, I'm finally free from the drugs, the alcohol. And then life sets in.
Yeah.
And then I have to learn how to live life, right? I got to learn how to deal with these emotions and learn how to say that, I had to learn how to, I had to learn how to build relationships that were healthy.
Yes.
Like not just the romantic ones, but like the relationships with like my neighbors and my mother and, my children. I mean, it was hard. Things that most normal people learned growing up, I didn't learn. You know what I mean? Because drugs prevented me from being able to learn those, those things that most people that have not ever experienced addiction don't understand.
Yeah. How is your relationship with your family now? Has it healed a little bit, or is it all the way back? Because again, people, we told so many lies, and we let so many people down that it takes a long time for people to believe us again.
Absolutely. And for my mother, I'll say this. For my mother, she came around probably quicker, between 3 and 6 months. I was in recovery, and, because they had heard this from me before. I'm done this time. It's over.
Right. This is it.
It's going to be
this
different.
is the final time.
Yeah. But my mother came around a lot quicker than anybody else. And, but my father, it took him 4 years to really get to the point where he was like, okay, maybe she's for real this time. But the first 2 years in recovery, I would go to my parents' home, and my dad would literally get up and find a reason to leave the house. And I share that because it's painful. It was painful for me to see my father do that. I knew he loved me, but I had just hurt him that much. And when I had 4 years in recovery, my father walked up to me and he gave me this little bitty key to a gate. My parents had some land next to a lake. I mean, you could literally walk it. You didn't have to, you could walk onto the property. But the key gave you the opportunity to open the gate and drive your car in. And he gave me a key to that gate and told me he was proud of me. And that made me feel good, right? And but it was hard for me to get those relationships. Today, I can tell you that my children are in my life. I am a grandmother. I get to keep I'm actually raising one of my grandchildren because I unfortunately have all 3 of my children also suffered from the disease of addiction. One is currently in prison. My daughter is now. It's her son that I'm raising, and she is finally in recovery now. Yay. And when I had almost 9 years in recovery, my son who was 23 years old died of an overdose. Yeah. One good thing I was able, one thing I can say though is that he got to experience me in recovery. He got to see his mother in recovery, rather than remembering. He didn't die knowing that his mother was. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I got to be a good mom to him in the end.
Oh my goodness!
So that was pretty tough. Yeah, that's pretty tough. When you're in recovery, it's probably the toughest thing. Maybe, I don't know. It's been the toughest thing for me to go through recovery.
Did you think about using? Did you think?
I was fixing to say, yep, I absolutely, that first year after I lost him, I absolutely had those thoughts. But because I had solidified a good recovery foundation, I had meetings I was going to, I had support system, I had other people in recovery that supported me. Those people were there for me in my worst time of need. You know what I mean? And they would come to my home and knock on my door and like, Tracy, come on, we're going to a meeting. Or they would call me and they would just give me encouragement, or, they were there for me. And I say it all the time that, I've been around now for a really long time in this recovery world, and everybody recovers differently. But the one thing that all people with quality recovery, and that's not quantity, because you can have 2 days of quality recovery, or and I've seen many people with a lot of years not have so much, But one thing that everybody with quality recovery has is connection. they have that support system from somebody that understands them, that they have that support. And how they get that support, you know, if they have it from family, at the time, I got it from my recovery family, and then eventually my blood family. And, you know, but some people get it from their church family. You know, there's many different ways that people can get support, but that's the one thing all people with quality recovery seem to have, is that support.
And we're going to take a quick break, Tracy. We'll get back to Rides to Recovery and your story, which is amazing. You're listening to Generating Gratitude here on WSGW. Welcome back to Generating Gratitude here on WSGW. Tracy, Program Manager, Peer 360 in the Thumb, our guest. Her program, Rides to Recovery. And before we went to break, Tracy, you brought up something really important. You brought up, I call it the power of community. Because if you've gone to enough, whatever your addiction and recovery group, you know, we stay sober, I get drunk. And you brought up a beautiful example, and that's kind of what Peer 360 does. Explain that power of community, that power of being surrounded by people that understand, that you don't have to explain yourself to.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just something, I don't even know what the word is for me. I want to say magical, beautiful. It's just that it's knowing I'm not alone. It's knowing that there are other people out there that literally understand me, and they're not judging me, or they understand. They know where I've been. They know, you know, where I am now. They know where I can go in life. You know, they support me. In one of the 12-step fellowships recovery books, it talks about how we're all survivors of the same shipwreck.
Yep.
And why wouldn't we want to, you know, throw out that, you know, that, what do they call it, the little life raft to try to help bring other people in? We know what that feels like. And it's just something, there's something so, I don't know, it's safe and secure, knowing that there's other people that support me and knowing that I'm not alone. They get it. They understand me. And, I just can't quite put my finger on it, but it's a beautiful thing.
How grateful,
and
how grateful are you, Tracy, about having the ability today to ask for help? Because that's amazing. You know, just that ability, because when I was going through it, I couldn't do it. I'm going to do this all by myself. I'm going to isolate and leave me alone. Mm-hmm. And now, you know, boy, the pressure's off.
Yeah.
I can ask for help. I can help somebody. I'm not selfish. Well, as selfish as I was anymore. What's that gratitude like for you?
Oh my goodness. Every morning I wake up and I come around, I walk out of my bedroom, I start going to my kitchen, I have to go down the hall, and as soon as I turn the corner to go to my kitchen so I can make my morning cup of coffee, there is a sign. And every morning I see it. And it talks about having this beautiful life that I have, having so much gratitude, because there was a moment in my life when I used to wish for the things that I have today. And I look at that, and I'm instantly grateful. I wake up, I'm alive, right?
Yes.
I'm 58 years old. I never thought I'd make it past 30, and here I am. You know, I'm grateful. I have a home. I have a roof over my head. I don't have to worry about where I'm going to lay my head at night tonight. You know, I have transportation. I have my children's love. I have my mother's love. You know, I have friends and a good job, and I'm able to take care of myself. And I'm able, best of all, I'm in a position where I can advocate for other people that are suffering from active addiction, and and advocate for good things for people in recovery. And also, I do a lot of promotion of anti-stigma, promotion of Narcan trainings, things like that. It gives me an opportunity to be able to still keep my son's memory alive, because had he had Narcan available to him, he might still be here with us. And so I'm so grateful for this life. And there are so many days, like right now in this moment talking with you, I feel so humbled. Like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that I have this beautiful, wonderful life that I have today. So yeah, I'm pretty full of gratitude right now.
Now, explain Rise to Recovery. That you perfectly led to that. Rise to Recovery. Give it,
Yep.
Because people, when we're first in recovery, a lot of people don't have licenses. A lot of people don't have vehicles. Got to get them to meetings. Got to get them to appointments. Got to get them somewhere. Explain Rise to Recovery.
Absolutely. Thank you. You said a lot of what I was hoping to be able to share about this. It is, we want people to be able to succeed in life and to succeed in their recovery. However, transportation in rural and farming recovery communities, it can be very difficult, and it can be the difference between someone finding recovery or falling through the cracks. It is so hard when you live down a long dirt road in the middle of nowhere, and it's not as easy as, I'll just jump in my car and go to a meeting, because there are, like you said, there's a lot of people out there that, maybe they lost their license because maybe they were drinking while driving, right? And so they can't just jump in a car and drive, and they have other things that they have to do, and it's maybe they've run out of resources, people to ask to give them rides. And or maybe they have the situation where they have the interlock, right?
Yep.
And something happens and they're not able to drive their car. Or what if they have a license and a car, but they just don't have any money for gas because they're doing everything they can to pay court fines, this fine, that fine. Pay the house payment and buy food, and so that's where Peer 360, we see that. We always are constantly saying, who's missing from our table? And I happen to live in the Thumb, and I live over in Tuscola County, and I see a lot of that firsthand. A lot of people in Huron and Tuscola counties where they struggle with getting, they're like, I would love to go to a meeting, but I'm all the way out here in this cornfield, and I don't have a way to get there.
And Tracy, real quickly, how would people get a hold of you for this program?
Absolutely. They can go to our website at peer360recovery.org. You can find us on Facebook as well. And then you can find us on Facebook as well. And, but they can call me, 989-455-1012, and I can connect them with the driver that we have on board that can come and pick them up. Now, they do need to give about 24 hours in advance. We're not an on-call service, but we want to do our part to try to help more people that are in the rural communities get to meetings and to events.
Tracy, thank you very much. It's been great. Tracy, Program Coordinator, Peer 360 in the Thumb, Rides to Recovery. Great idea, great program. I had fun today. Thank you for Tracy being on the show. We'll see you again next time. Remember, can't be hateful and you can't be grateful at the same time. We'll see you later, folks.